Welcome to The Long Way Round. My name is Malcolm Byrne, and you are listening to Radio Kingston, and you can find us at radiokingston.org and also on the radio, 107.9, 1490 AM. Well, you know, a lot of things have happened in the last week or so, and it's hard to know where to start, really, but amongst all the headlines of FBI raids and Ukrainian wars and Chinese wars and everything else, there's one headline that gets buried underneath all the rest endlessly, and it's what's going on in the West Bank and Gaza. Whether you want to think about it or not, even in the last 2 weeks, 40 Palestinian children have been killed by Israeli bombings, and doesn't seem to, register too highly. We can talk about poor Ukrainian children and fundraisers for them, but on the other hand, what happens to the Palestinians seems to be, if you even mention it, you can be deleted or banned or otherwise summarily summoned to the arbiters of good taste and what's actually considered acceptable to discuss publicly. And I'll say this, just because I support the Palestinian cause does not make me anti-Israeli, and it certainly does not warrant the obvious label of being called anti-Semitic. So I'll just say that right now. I have many friends who either are Israeli or live in Israel or sometimes live in Israel. And but on the other hand, I'm very aware of the fact that Israel is by anyone's standards an apartheid state. And I'm going to say that without shame or without need for further qualification. If you don't believe me, just look at the facts. I'm going to feature the music tonight. The title of tonight's show is Soundtrack to the Struggle, Part 2. And I'm going to feature the music for the most of the show by an artist goes by the name of Lowkey. I first heard about Lowkey when I was interviewing Chris Hedges a little while ago when he was my guest. And we played one of his songs called Refuse to Kill. And ever since then, I've discovered his music, and I'm absolutely a huge fan. So, Lowkey, better known as Karim Dennis, was born in 1986 in Britain. He's a British rapper and activist from London. He became known through a series of mixtapes he released before he was even 18 years old. And then he took a bit of a hiatus from the music business to get involved in political issues. And Karim is a rather outspoken individual. He was his mother is actually Iraqi, and Lowkey is a vocal opponent of Zionism. As a patron of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, he characterizes Zionism as colonialism and ethnic cleansing. He's made a couple of very powerful records, and I'm going to play all of, and let pretty much the music do the talking, because he very beautifully and adeptly includes individuals such as Chris Hedges, Noam Chomsky, and others into his music. So I don't think I need to say too much more about it. Here's a track to start off the show. This is a track from a previous recording, Soundtrack to the Struggle Part 1. And you'll know what it's talking about. Long live Palestine.
This is for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza. Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine. While we listen to tunes made by ignorant fools, Israel blocked the UN from delivering food. They bring in the troops and you won't even glimpse of the news. They make money off the products that we're quick to consume. And it's not simply a question of differing views. Forget emotions, this is facts. What I spit is the truth. Makes no difference if you're a Christian or if you're a Jew. They're just people living in different conditions to you. They still die when you bomb their schools, mosques and hospitals. It's not because of rockets, please God, can you stop this all? I'm not related to the strangers on the TV, but I relate, cause those strangers could have been me. Words could never ever explain the raw tragedy. It's not a war, they're just murdering more rapidly, and we are automatically supporting pure savagery. Imagine how you feel if this was your family. Sing it with me now. Free, free Palestine. 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 Palestine remains in my heart forever. We stand for peace times of war. We shan't surrender. Remember, it didn't start in this dark December. Every coin is a bullet if you're Marks and Spencer. And when you're sipping Coca-Cola, that's another pistol in the holster of them soulless soldiers. You say you know about the Zionist lobby, but you put money in their pocket when you're buying their coffee. Talking about revolution sitting in Starbucks. The fact is, that's the type of thinking I can't trust, let alone even start to respect. Before you talk, learn the meaning of that scarf on your neck. Forget Nestle, Obama promised Israel 30 billion over the next decade. They're trigger happy and they're crazy. Think about that when you're putting Huggies nappies on your baby. Sing it with me now. Free, free Palestine. 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 This is not just a war over stolen land. Why do you think little boys are throwing stones at tanks? And we'll never really know how many people are dead. They drop bombs on innocent girls while they sleep in their bed. Don't get offended by facts, just try and listen. Nothing is more anti-Semitic than Zionism. So please don't bring bad vibes when you speak to me. There's plenty of rabbis that agree with me. It's your choice what you do with this message. Don't get it confused, I view this from a human perspective. How many more resolutions have to be violated? How many more children have to be annihilated? Israel is a terror state, they're terrorists that terrorize. I testify my television, televise them telling lies. This is not a war, it is systematic genocide. But whatever they try, Palestine will never die. Now, free, free Palestine, 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 free, free Palestine. This is for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza. Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. Wish I could take your tears and replace them with laughter. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza.
You're listening to Soundtrack to the Struggle 2 by Lowkey.
Thank you for joining us, Noam. In Optimism Over Despair, you say, it seems to me unlikely that civilization can survive really existing capitalism. Would you be able to explain that statement for us?
Really existing capitalism is what we can see described in the press day after day. We read that the major banks like J.P. Morgan Chase are increasing their investment in fossil fuels, including the most dangerous, like Canadian tar sands. And all of this is quite understandable on the assumption that the structure of our institutions is geared to maximizing short-term profit and power without regard to what might happen to the world in another 20 or 30 years. That's called capitalism, but we can't survive that.
Is it the economic system via the ecosystem? How we gonna define deep when the seas have risen? How can we define woke when our sleep's commission drowned out by cold brother bots? How can the people listen? Can't detoxify as we watch the sky fade to grey. The source devoured, corporate power killed the nation state. Sophisticated murder defined as innovation. Corporations wine and dine just to mine your information. 8 men versus humanity. Terrorist who? His search engine knows your thought pattern better than you. In an environment resentful, uprising is essential. The horizon is torrential. Think your silence will protect you. Subject to propaganda that terrifies the slumbered. We can jeopardize their cover if we energize the numbers. Collectivize or die. Protect your mind or suffer. Life is paradise to some and a paradise to others. Eyes of a tired, retired fireman, knowing he couldn't help a child survive the frying pan. When we riot, we disquiet the Leviathan. Forget Iron Man, I've got an Iron Lion's diaphragm. My salutations to those with imagination. Doom anticipated, and that's no exaggeration. Your flag doesn't exist. Let me back up that statement. What happens to the nation if the Queen has a tax haven? Pushing these buttons, you don't need a brave heart. Frontex turn the Mediterranean to a graveyard. Paper wall will drive you crazy if you let it. Had a mother burying a newborn baby in the desert. What's commonsensical is sensible to question. What seems to be a lesson is intellectual repression. Rebel against the system that deprived you of a voice. Rebel against this hell while our survival's still a choice. Suicide cannibalize itself while the bank's treating fictitious capital like it's wealth. Your lurid lobby system means corruption is legalized. Privatized healthcare elsewhere. People die. Rebellion lives in all those that dream of a better way. Refuse to be brainwashed with false visions of yesterday. Choose to inflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. So many choose the opposite. Their spirit contradicted. Bring a child to the world where the future seems impossible. $5 trillion a year. Subsidizing fossil fuels. The truth was in their eyes, but you shrugged and just turned your back. I watched the family beg for help while they're flat, turn to ash. Apocalypse now. We saw our future in that damn building. CEOs loving profit more than they love their grandchildren. We saw our future in that damn building. CEOs loving profit more than they love their grandchildren.
Not to be concerned about the future of their grandchildren. Well, you have to put yourself in the position of, say, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of the biggest bank, JP Morgan Chase. As CEO, he has essentially two choices. One choice is to do exactly what he's doing. Invest direct investments to the most profitable outcome. If it happens to be the most dangerous fossil fuels, do that. The other alternative he has is to resign and be replaced by somebody else who will do the same thing. But this is an institutional problem, not an individual one.
Frontex turned the Mediterranean to a graveyard.
Frontex turned the Mediterranean to a graveyard. Frontex turned the Mediterranean to a graveyard. Frontex turned the Mediterranean to a graveyard.
His young life was as delicate as the wing of a butterfly and as fragile as a spider's web. For him we cry, 'cause when he dies, we Did Ahmed not deserve a life? Ahmed never hurt a fly. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by. Certain times Ahmed wished that he could be a bird and fly beyond the sky, escape the curse of birth that he was burdened by. Ahmed never grew to let your racism internalize. Water poured from every pore in his corpse while the nurses cried. Ahmed was a beautiful person, like you or I. but are we?
Ahmed could have been a doctor, lawyer or an engineer. Could have been a superstar, but his life ended here. Guess he was a shooting star, burned bright and disappeared. To some he seems to represent a menace in this hemisphere. Let me hear, make the very essence of this message clear. He was precious, many die like him every year. Ahmed was a victim of resentment and relentless fear. Now his soul surfs the waves, I wish we could have kept him here.
The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed. The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul.
Ahmed's ancestors introduced to Europe Greek philosophy, brought with them irrigation, mathematics and astronomy. Symbolically, irony of this horror isn't lost on me. Trying to get to Europe via Greece is where he's lost at sea. Ahmed, not Ahmed, it's Ahmed, he's that dead. Toddler lying lifeless on the beach with his back bent, arms spread, reaching the direction that his dad went. If he made it here, would have been bullied for his accent. He was captured by the ocean, paralyzed and frozen while these parasites sat and tight, analyzing clothing out for resources. We all compete beyond the talk of war and peace and talk of porous borders. There is corpses on the shore of Greece. They found a teddy next to where his body was found. The sea swallowed him, politics has swallowed him now, and those responsible, Ahmed's ghost will follow them now. To the family, all we can say is we are sorry he drowned because
the sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed. The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul.
they say, let him drown, let him drown, let him drown. What have you done? Let him drown, let him drown. No, what have we become? Don't let him drown. No, don't let him drown. And they say, let him drown, let him drown, let him drown. What have you done? Don't let him drown, don't let him drown. No, what have we become? Don't let him drown. Please don't let him drown. Ahmed could have been you, and Ahmed could have been me. We need to understand the policies that put him in the sea. We need to understand why it is the beach is full of dying kids. A colonial metropole people want to reside in. If he did, would he make it or fall to something that's deeper? End up like Jimmy and Benga or Khalid Abu Dharifa. A picture by Khaver Paulus on the beaches of Tarifa made me see some would grieve more if Ahmed was a creature with 4 legs. Then they would consider him legitimate. Those like him braving barbed wire, burning off their fingertips while force alien. That mentality still exists. It's privilege, the difference between the expat and an immigrant. For I'm a Somali and Uthman Rasul Muhammad. When you take others' humanity, it's only yours that's stunted, not a swarm. There are sisters and brothers, that's the sum of it. The cockroaches here are in the media and the government, not the sea.
The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed. The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed.
Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by.
الليل والله يا كريم كل يوم بلشي نقول بلشي الله جميل اللي مسجلين بها هاي تبعت المقابلات مع حبيبنا المهاجرين تبعت لنا خبر انقبلتم من الحكومة البريطانية انكم تحت 18 وانكم قاعدين تطعموا هنا ما حدا قاعد يوصل صوتنا لحدا ما حدا قاعد يوصل صوتنا لحدا بدي اقول شغلة واحدة اللي هي وين الإنسانية وين الإنسانية وين الإنسانية؟ مش بتقولوا إنسانية بأوروبا؟ أي إنسانية؟ والله العظيم الكلب اللي عندهم بحطونه إنسانية أكثر مننا إحنا. الكلب اللي عندهم بيقعدوه بسيارة وبيدفوه وإحنا قاعدين نمرق من جنبهم ميتين من البرد ونشتى علينا كم من الرب والكلب قاعد بالسيارة. هاي إنسانية؟ أي إنسانية بيصرفوا عنها؟ أي إنسانية؟ والله كان في إنسانية بأوروبا أنا ماني حاس بيها.
We'll be right back after these messages, inshallah.
Hello, this is Meira Blaustein, co-founder of the Woodstock Film Festival. The festival is in its 23rd year of bringing first-rate independent films to the Hudson Valley, and we're inviting you to lend a hand. Come volunteer with photography, screening venues, special events, press, art, construction, transportation, box office, and more. All volunteer roles are vital to the success of the festival, and we are grateful to each and every volunteer who lends their time and expertise. This year, the festival will take place in Woodstock, Kingston, Saugerties, and Rosendale from Wednesday, September 28th through Sunday, October 2nd. We'll see you there. To find out more, click the red volunteer button at woodstockfilmfestival.org.
Hey, I'm Julie Novak. Join me Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 3 for No One Like You. How do you turn your kryptonite into your superpower?
There's this magic in naming yourself something that reminds you of your power. Hands is my name now. I do so much with my hands. I exist through my hands.
How do you go from hiding who you are to fully expressing yourself?
I started working as an actor very young. I would leave this environment that was hostile, that was dangerous, to going to this place where I suddenly had a function. I suddenly had value. I suddenly meant something.
No One Like You. Wednesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. here on Radio Kingston, AM 1490, FM 1079, and anytime at radiokingston.org.
Welcome back to The Long Way Round. My name is Malcolm Byrne. This is Radio Kingston. June 2022 marked the 55th year since Israel began its military occupation of the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. Israel's occupation is a key cause of humanitarian needs to which the international community responds. Occupation denies Palestinians control over basic aspects of daily life, their ability to move unimpeded within their own country, to exit and return, to develop large parts of their territory, build on their own land, access natural resources, or develop their economy, is largely determined by the Israeli military. Occupation-related policies have isolated communities, ruptured social cohesion, deprived Palestinians of their human rights, affected economic activity, and undermined their right to self-determination. The prolonged occupation, with no end in sight, cultivates a sense of hopelessness and frustration that drives continued violence and impacts both Palestinians and Israelis and the rest of us. At the 55-year mark, OCHA, which is a United Nations agency, has compiled a broad spectrum of case studies featured in recent years. These stories exemplify the Palestinian experience of occupation and its humanitarian impacts. Ending the occupation is the single most important priority to enable Palestinians to advance development goals, reduce humanitarian needs, and ensure respect for human rights. I'm going to read you just a quick excerpt. These are various stories of Palestinians that have been compiled over the years. This particular one is of Silwan, who's a 13-year-old boy. Well, he was 13 when this was written, so he'd be about 18 now. At 4 a.m., we heard a loud knock at the door. We didn't think they were coming to arrest anyone. We thought they were coming to demolish our house, as we have a pending demolition order. My father called out, asking who it was. The soldiers identified themselves and said they were coming to arrest Hamada. Without opening the door, my father replied that they had the wrong house. There was no Hamada here. They told him to open the door and also told him to name his sons, and if he didn't do it, they would throw tear gas into the house. My father began naming us one by one, and when he came to my name, the soldiers told him to stop. They said that I had been throwing stones, and they wanted to take me away. I don't know exactly how many, but there must have been at least 6 jeeps, maybe 8, and it seemed like there were hundreds of them, police, undercover police, and special forces. They came in and pulled us from our beds. They didn't even let us put our clothes or shoes on. They cuffed my hands. They took me away, barefoot, wearing only pajamas. Altogether, we were 6 kids arrested that morning. They did not let my parents ride with me. But my father told us after, when we got to the police station, they took me to room number 4 and someone questioned me. He wanted me to admit that I had thrown stones that day. At first, I wouldn't admit to anything. Whenever I looked away, he slapped me. He kept asking me. I kept denying. He kept blowing cigarette smoke into my eyes. He grabbed my shoulder and squeezed hard, then threw me against a wall. My nose began to bleed. I asked for tissue paper to wipe my nose, but he didn't give me any. Afterwards, someone else did. Then he told me to kneel down. I replied, I only kneel to the Creator. He kicked me in the right thigh. As I sat there, they toasted bread and cheese. They asked if I was hungry and threw some of the hot cheese on my arm. All along, they told me that I only had to admit that I had thrown stones and they'd let me go. In the end, I just wanted to go home, so I admitted to throwing only one stone. 1 stone or more, they asked. I replied, no, only 1 stone. They asked again, not even a second stone? I insisted it was only 1 stone. They wanted to know if others had thrown stones with me. I told them I was alone. Finally, they took my fingerprints and had me sign some papers. I don't know what was written there, as they were in Hebrew. Afterwards, they let my father take me home. We're going to continue with the music of Lowkey, the English Iraqi artist and political activist from Struggle to the Soundtrack, Part 2. This is the return of Lowkey.
Because there's a major demand for low-key material. Do you think we're going to get more low-key material in 2016?
I don't know about in 2016, but I mean, I would find it hard to believe that never in his life is he ever. Someone naturally that talented, that brilliant an MC, with music just flowing through his veins, I would be very surprised if he never ever comes back.
Lowkey's one of them people, like his energy is right. Certain people's energies are off, and I just think we're on a different side spiritually, on a deeper thing. I just feel like you're on the other side spiritually. We can work.
You can never top my fire in a booth. I don't need a label, I'm saying to the truth. If you're relying hard with the mind of a moose, your circle can hurt you as tight as a noose. Bars, artillery, harsher than killer bees. I'm a marksman with beats, carving them into meat. Palm enemies, laugh at them in the street. Wanna spar the elite, hard for you to compete. Not a marketing dream, hearts in the Middle East. Starving to eat, marga beyond belief. Where they martyr the meat, marching them into meat. With the arms of the beast, harvest them with the teeth. If you're unhappy when you come at me, never miss. Make you run, scatty dumb scallywags are getting dissed. Trump rally with a gun carried in your fist. That's a punk patty and a chump chatty terrorist. Intellect, still the sickest on the internet. Didn't know that I'll kill you slow like a cigarette. Outlying, you get outlined like a silhouette. Been a vet that didn't pay the illest and I'm still a threat. Personified, verse at a time, murk him. Hurdle your rhyme, certain that I burn him. Merged in my prime first to the fine curtains. It's German, you ride hurting cause I'm Jurgen. Murder the Mike Klinsman when I'm turning. Merciless fight clansman when I'm verbing. Words that I write sting them when I'm bursting. Worst of my type, champion night nurse him. 016 did a sold out tour. Think you know my life, I don't know about yours. I was blackballed then cause I spoke about war. They want me closed down but I spoke out more. Now the silence is broken, virus is frozen. Come to wash it away like the tide of the ocean. My pride is evolving, size of a Trojan. Horse on course to divide your emotion. Go round to the pen, the sound of a vet. They rouse me, I'm killing them again. Again, the album is next. It's foul that you slept. My mouth is a weapon now again. How they forget, these cowards are vexed. Pound the alphabet again. You're out of your depth. Bow to the best, put the crown on my head now again. Say you're sick, I'm prophylactic. Say you're old school, I'm so Jurassic. Flow galactic, gymnastic could hold a backflip. Keep you grounded like Jones at Gatwick. Behold a classic, your poker tactics are soulless and hopeless, you knows the actors. My mode of practice is molten acid. Flow roams the globe, I control its axis. No foes in my lane, most of them are the range. How you cope with the pain, coking up in your vein. They molded your brain, culture, killing the fame. They know my name, suppose it was gonna fade. Get the concept, monster, lost like Loch Ness. City flows, all my videos are a box set. Obsessed with the nonsense, tell me what's next. Another day I could run on stage like Offset. Oxford to Bangkok, jam pops off. Even Amsterdam flow can pop clogs. Stand on hot rock, still man's not hot. Got genius bars like a laptop shop. Look into the eyes of my son. See the moon shine and the rays of the sun. Showed you my thumb, that's the size of your lung. I love you in everything you strive to become. I'm like Godzilla, kids think they're sick but they're not ill. Hop in the mosh pit, I'm toxic. The plot thickens, hot spit. I couldn't give a toss if you watch ticking top of the roster. Eat monsters for hot dinner, glitch in the matrix. Spit with the greatness, flipping the script. My existence is dangerous, convincing the jaded. No stint with the majors, my fiscal still sick. No hits on the playlist. Miserable haters thinking for ages how to incriminate or intimidate him. Ink in my name is synced in the pages. Pimps of the game with my fingerprints faded. I wonder where the lyricism's gone. Ridiculous how these kids are getting on. I don't even listen to the lyrics when it's on. Delete the whole app in the middle of the song. Go round to the pen, the sound of a vet. They rouse me, I'm killing them again. The album is next. It's foul that you slept. My mouth is a weapon now again. How they forget, these cowards are vexed. Pound the alphabet again. Get out of your depth. Bow to the best, put a crown on my head now again.
wherever we stand. And we never see the sheriff rebels heads in the sand. Devils with terrible plans, metal they clench in their hands, ready to embezzle the cheddar and cement of your fam. Settlers land, weapons and gags, tensionally planned to sever your every memory, man. It's deadly inside. They said to me, let it be together we stand, defending these energies of heavenly lands. Guess who's back from the dead? Time to scramble your head with a random event like Tupac. Turn up to your nans on a ped, wearing Vans with a bandana rap to his head. You might bang on the net, but you ran from my pen. Grandstand, I'm Van Damme. Mangle these men, Jackie Chan with the damn hands. Phantom for them damn brothers with antennas, get strangled again, vanilla ice. Top floor dangling them. Take it old school, bring a sandal for them. If you heard my bars, thought that was a sin, then you better bring it back, cause my friend, I'm a vandal man. Handle your ankle and bend. Will you stand and defend or just stand for the fence? When the massacre ends, I'll be back in the trench. Better practice your reps, cause you're knackered and stressed. Think you're hot door with your botch flow, but you're not, bro. God knows you could not blow, cause you flop shows. Cockroach with a snot nose and a lost soul. Dead sound, it could get found in the Cotswold. Might batter a span, shatter a rhyme pattern, a defined batter, and might splatter a hype challenger. Man, I get to Canada, panic, a slide manager. Rhyme passengers like daggers, slice amateurs. My status is Titanic, quite hazardous. High cameras, try tracking a slice labyrinth. Rhymes up to us like maths to Pythagoras. My stamina's high caliber, try catching up. Climb ladders to drop knowledge on top scholars. I'm not modest, top dollars couldn't knock a rock solid. God send his truth in the booth. I could stop Sonic Lock, stock or two smoking barrels in the box office. Rhyme around a ripper, Kaiser with a clipper. Tyson when he bit a bin of sight cause it's a nipper. Contemplating life like Michael in the mirror. 3, 2, 1, the word cipher came cipher. Go round to the pen, the sound of a vet. They rouse me, I'm killing them again. Again, the album is next. It's foul that you slept. My mouth is a weapon now again. How they forget? These cowards are vexed. Pound the alphabet again. You're out of your depth. Bow to the best. Put the crown on my head now again.
The label should be beating down his door if they want to make money, right? But his political message is just never going to be played. Never going to be played on the radio.
Not marketable.
But that's the thing, it is marketable. Because how is it he's able to sell that amount of albums and that amount of tickets just off YouTube? If people don't want to hear all that political shit, how is his success or Mortal Technique's success, how is that explainable? They tell us it's not marketable. What they mean is, again, it doesn't fit with the agenda of the people who control the music industry. It's not about conspiracy. What would be the consequence if the song Terrorist, for example, was that popular just off a YouTube video? What would be the consequence if it was played daytime on Radio 1? Do you think people would just suddenly not like the song and not listen to it? But what he's saying is unacceptable to be played at that time of day to that audience. Not because it wouldn't resonate with them, actually quite the contrary, because if it resonates with them, what are the consequences?
The people's prince. I'm here at the garage on Holloway Road, representing for my boy Lowkey for the album launch, for the soundtrack to the struggle, which I've got to say, in my humble opinion, is probably the best album of the year. It's probably the best album in the last few years, period. And the fact that you walk down the street and you see the queue as crazy as it is, I can't lie, I got a little piece emotional. I just stand back, I just take a deep breath, and I just have to look at the crowd, because it was real fucking emotional. Now anyone that listens to my shows will know that I'm an avid supporter of my boy Lowkey. I have been from Doc, and to see how he's gone from strength to strength and built the platform that he's built for himself without any other DJs really fucking with him, any financial backing, no major labels, no labels, period. It is a beautiful thing, man. Like, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing, and I'm honoured to be here tonight, man. Lowkey's doing his damn thing.
When the children see them, they point and laugh. When the children see them, they point and laugh. When the children see them, they point and laugh. But they don't know. When the children see them, they point and laugh. When the children see them, they point and laugh. When the children see them, they point and laugh. But they don't know. They don't know.
She lost her son on a Sunday, her memories are bloodstained. The paper showed his young face, who remembered his mum's name. She sleeps with the blanket he was wrapped in as a child. He's not dead, he's just napping for a while. She thinks backwards with a smile. On the clock the hands stop, can't accept all the plans lost. Sunny Sundays dancing to Van Joss. Like, I used to be such a bad, bad boy, but I gave it up when I fell in love. Hold him close, breathe the smell of his skin, preserving every little thing. How can she ever begin to move on? Sunday mornings, getting their groove on. His little hands wave their newborn, grew strong through song. She thinks he's coming in from school, made his favorite dinner too. Sitting talking to an empty chair in the living room. Roams the street calling out things that no one listened to. Tried to treat her, but they thought solution was medicinal. No, and I don't think they'll ever comprehend it. Schizophrenic or a broken heart that can't be mended. Now she's sitting talking to herself where the bench is. Relatives wonder when she's coming to her senses. In her mind, he grew, walked the passage to a man. They branded it as madness, never planned to understand. She can't quite touch him, she imagines that she can. Holding the fabric to her face, squeezing the blanket in her hand, saying, every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, I dance with you. I dance with you. The day they came and took away his son was a Sunday, but he only woke up to the news on a Monday. More times he knows the situation ends one way, but he looks up searching for some hope in the sun rays. A year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed. Finds it hard to get over the shadow that the fear caused. 4 years passed, 5 years passed, 6, 7, 8 passed. Still lays a hand for him when they play cards. His bedroom as it was, doesn't dare to touch a thing. Harms himself to sleep with the songs his son would sing like, ain't no sunshine when she's gone, only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine now he's gone, only darkness every day. You might see him by the betting shop asking for a spare pound. His shoes are getting tattered and he's losing all his hair now. Sees him in his dreams but he doesn't know his whereabouts. Sees him in the mirror cause there's nothing else he cares about. Sees him in the crowd but the truth is he isn't there. Goes after him and chases but every time he disappears. Cars passing by and passengers just sit and stare, talking to himself in a cruel world that didn't care. Every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, I dance with you. I dance with you. Every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, I dance with you. I dance with you. I don't think I can do this on my own. I don't think I can do this on my own. I don't think I can do this on my own. 'Cause I need you. I need you. I don't think I can do this on my own. I don't think I can do this on my own. I don't think I can do this on my own. 'Cause I need you. I need you.
Stay tuned for more Soundtrack to the Struggle right after these messages.
This is Torian from the Kingston YMCA Farm Project. Visit our farm stand for fresh and local vegetables grown by Kingston youth. We have a farm stand twice a week at the Y. Tuesdays from 10 to 12:30 at the Pine Grove entrance to the Y, across from Rite Aid. And Thursdays from 3:30 to 6 in the lobby of the Y. We accept SNAP, Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks, cash, and cards. For more information and list of what we have each week, visit our Facebook page at Kingston YMCA Farm Project.
Radio Kingston.
Muchas voces.
Muchas voces.
Muchas voces.
Una comunidad.
Hola amigues, I am Mariel Fiori. Every Monday through Friday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. we have La Voz con Mariel Fiori here at Radio Kingston. It's an inspiring hour of interviews, commentary, good music, current issues and information. Knowledge is power. And it's all en español. La Voz with Mariel Fiori. Every weekday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. Here on Radio Kingston, AM 1490, FM 1079, or anytime at radiokingston.org.
The European Union's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, has admitted that the 27-nation bloc applies double standards when it comes to the wars in Ukraine and Palestine, saying International politics is to a large degree about applying double standards. In an interview with the El País newspaper released on Thursday, Borrell was asked why Brussels is so much more willing to support the people of Ukraine than the people of Gaza. We are often criticized for double standards, but international politics is to a large degree about applying double standards. We do not use the same criteria for all problems, Borrell said. Borrell also suggested the United Nations was to blame for a lack of resolution to what he called the Middle East conflict. There is no solution to the Middle East conflict without a very strong commitment on the part of the United States, he said, adding that many attempts have been made, but at the moment there appears to be no path forward. Well, I wonder why that might be. Maybe it could be just because there's more money in supplying endless amounts of weapons to the Ukraine. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, continuing on with the show, this is more music from my favorite artist of the moment, Lowkey. This is a track called Skit 2, and you may recognize this voice.
Right now, right this second, this is how our families are being remembered. They're being remembered by a culture of neglect, institutional inertia, hiding behind a system that's failed. We want the truth, not bureaucracy. We want light to be shone on what went wrong and who is responsible. We do not want excuses, buck passing, fancy technical arguments, or any legal grey areas. We want an inquiry into the truth. The truth that people died because those in authority convinced themselves that they had done enough.
Kareem, I have to be very careful here, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but some of what you're about to say is for the evidential hearings. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to stop you.
Sure. Sure.
All right.
I think, with all due respect, we've been censored enough. It's our time. Whether you like it or not, you will have to listen.
Speak, brother.
Headlines associate kids with waterboarding and car bombs. Jamal's from same part of the world you got the guitar from. Still a wonderful world. Sing it like Louis Armstrong. Any kid bullied, I made this to keep your heart strong. Colonizers, names the same pavements that we march on. Please don't project the war on terror onto children. They are not suspects or combatants, you cannot kill them. Please don't project the war on terror onto Grenfell. State capture and deregulation, it doesn't end well. Prevent spying on children, got them stepping on eggshells. Splash lies across the pages, Islamophobia and death cells. Psychological warriors mess with the percentages. Innocent kids in school label grooming gangs and terrorists. Battle stereotypes like climbing over Everest. What we must question is how these ideas became so prevalent.
The right kids and blackies are still worrying your dad, but your dad's favorite food is still curry or kebab. The right kids and blackies are still worrying your dad, but your dad's favorite food is still curry or kebab. Oh, I know you're peering through the window, but they don't see you anymore. Don't lose yourself in what they think, though, 'cause this has never been your war.
You can tell prevent. Stop spying on little kids. Tell the terrible tabloids stop tarnishing immigrants. And tell the think tanks their role is insidious. And tell the nasty neocons stop funding this ignorance. Victims of this myth creation, searching for inspiration. Hope this song can comfort you through the intimidation. Hope you beat those that smeared you through the courts of litigation. And hold your heads up high through these trials and tribulations. These morbid, remorseless authors paved the way for disorders. They murdered the Magna Carta, to hell with habeas corpus. Rendition, torture across borders. They tore up laws as they scorched them. Now they pull up the drawbridge and tell you hordes are enormous. Only 0.18% of this country's refugees won't regulate fossil fuelers or owners of SUVs, but they demonize heroes for braving the 7 seas. 34,000 died trying to enter here, rest in peace. Moment of silence.
The right kids and brackies are still worrying your dad, but your dad's favorite food is still curry or kebab. The right kids and brackies are still worrying your dad, but your dad's favorite food is still curry or kebab. Oh, I know you're peering through the window, but they don't see you anymore. Don't lose yourself in what they think though, 'cause this has never been your home. A cucumber's not a bomb, a terrace house is just a home. A free Palestine badge is harmless, you're a war on terror drone. A cucumber's not a bomb, a terrace house is just a home. A free Palestine badge is harmless, you're a war on terror drone. Cucumber's not a bomb, a terrace house is just a home. A free Palestine badge is harmless, you're a war on terror drone. Cucumber's not a bomb, a terrace house is just a home. A free Palestine badge is harmless, you're a war on terror drone. Cucumber's not a bomb, a terrace house is just a home. A free Palestine badge is harmless, you're a war on terror drone. War on terror drone.
The mic breaker, life changer, sight shaper, rhyme maker, fire flames, face a fight, fakers with a lightsaber, show ripper, flow, spitter, tone dimmer, known sinner, phone ringer, poem, liver, cooker of his own dinner, trend setter, bench pressing, fence sitting, bed wet as 10 letters, sender, I'm the ender of a vendetta, track smasher, fat packer, cat napper, dapper, rapper, dashing, pack cameras with a knack and catching backstabbers, off at troll, bars never slow, master the art, I'm marching them home, darker than cold, carving a hole, carved scarred in the part for the crows, smarter than most, target the host, as far as an artist, you aren't gonna blow, marketable, far from it, bro, bar for bar, Vietnam in the flow, napalm in the mood, calming them cool, no arsenal, I'm sarsing them all, you're fast so cool with your bars on pulled, bar for bar, you can't ever do if you're writing this crap, hiding your pad, this type of rap is priceless fact, my line of attack is Tyson with that, if you try with a titan, then wind in the back. I'm the mic breaker, life changer, sight shaper, rhyme maker, fire flames, face a fight, fakers with a lightsaber, show ripper, flow, spitter, tone dimmer, known sinner, phone ringer, poem, liver, cooker of his own dinner, trend setter, bench pressing, fence sitting, bed wet as 10 letters, sender, I'm the ender of a vendetta, track smasher, fat packer, cat napper, dapper, rapper, dashing, pack cameras with a knack and catching backstabbers, off at troll, bars never slow, master the art, I'm marching them home, darker than cold, carving a hole, carcass scarred in the part for the crows, smarter than most, target the host, as far as an artist, you aren't gonna blow, marketable, far from it, bro, bar for bar, Vietnam in the flow, napalm in the mood, calming them cool, no arsenal, I'm sarsing them all, you're fast so cool with your bars on my pool, bar for bar, you can't ever do if you're writing this crap, hiding your pad, this type of rap is priceless fact, my line of attack is Tyson with that, if you try with a titan, then wind in the back, kill him with a sick flow, drill him with the info, bit of silly bitty bye-bye, skipping from the intro, really wanna spit flow, pity you can meet, why try, kissing his kinfolk, busy with a single, really living inside, guys, milling with the impulse, hitting with a plimsoll, sin if you criticize, I sick as I was, switching them off, skip like crisscross, hit to the hot, slip to the knot, kid to the rock, flip like a pissed off Wizard of Oz, does radio, play me though, maybe bro, flames we throw, need more C4 to make me blow, I'm back with a GO80 flow.
I am finally coming to kill with the alphabet. Assassinated it. And I just to take the Mickey. Coming to kill it backwards. Wow. I feel like I've just been to university for 9 years. I learned last
running this, we're coming back to batter it like Kaepernick. Passionate without a ticker, man. It lives his manuscript, established shit, no glamour glitz. His manic man is chapping blissful victim to your eyes like 21 Savage did. Step right through, website you, hit him with left, right, set white smooth. Eat like pig with bedside blues, killing my city with headline views. Red sky too, threat like doom, vision in left eye 10 times 2. Wet try use, test my tunes, next round left right, dead white you. Tic tac toe, mix match flow, hit back quick snap, kick cat blokes, spit my quotes, rip that show, did that impact, live that bro. Come back king, tongue gatling, blow the flow like pump action. Runs my ting in a fun paction, my scold soldier like his mom slapped him. Merciless merchant, murking the mic, worst of the whites with the words that I write. Hurdle the herds when I hurl to heights, learn from liars, immersed in the hype. Pop with the people do not believe you. Watch where these monsters want to lead you. Nonsense to feed you, rocks and needles, monsters clutching Dr. Evil. Your lackadaisical tax to tame your full raps, and limbs to fall back. Back your basics, don't snap your frame for talk back to change all facts. Man are capable, tracks available, stats are paid in full das. Perhaps the labels will rap your way to call platinum train, you bought snatch. Sick as I was, switch them off, skip like crisscross, hit to the rock, slip to the knot, kid to the rock, flip like a pissed off Wizard of Oz, does radio, play me though, maybe bro, flames we throw, need more C4 to make me blow, I'm back with a GO80 flow.
Was that for real? That was recorded, was it? That was live. Was that live? Oh my God, he just tore them things to pieces. Hey, quick, someone put Sarah's Spice on fire. Sarah's Spice on fire, quick. You know what, no nudie in here. Come on, man.
Enough love, bro. Enough love, brother.
That was just so, I can't even. For the first time in 6 weeks on my show, I'm speechless.
Donald Trump, el pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Shut him down, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. يا مجرم يا فاسد القدس تاج راسك. Shut him down. 700 billion a year to the fossil fuelers, 750 billion a year to the rocket launchers. This monster's morbid, mob is sordid, more than what's reported while this song's recorded. Hope 100 humans cross the borders. Words of MLK, greatest violence purveyor. See ourselves in the afflicted, the environment decayer. Do it for Puerto Rico and Ibrahim Abu Thureya. He'll get a head to Mimid while he's tweeting London's mayor. Harbingers of doom, they let the Trump committee gallivant. Passport not accepted, it's a London city travel ban. Dystopian future like Amazon's camper vans. Merely an apprentice to the corporate gangster glamour gang. ExxonMobil are writing this Trump script. The Koch brothers are riding this Trump ship. Wall Street is writing this Trump script. Raytheon and Lowkey are riding this Trump ship. Shut him down. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Shut him down. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. يا مجرم يا فاسد القدس تاج راسك. Shut him down. That red face can't contain the rage and hate inside you. Aching in your pride, but take a major nation, make it mine. Engage in nativism. Now your state is just a paper tiger. Cover up your face with a solar panel made in China. Weapon of mass distraction in this twisted age of decadence. Government, big business, the relationship incestuous. Or workers in your businesses unionize and shut you down. 1 million people march when you tried to enter London town. Do another speech to inspire the next militant. May your nightmares be haunted by vexed immigrants. Mother of all bombs, I hope that every death lives within corporate revolving door. From Bannon to Rex Tillerson. ExxonMobil are writing this Trump script. The Koch brothers are riding this Trump ship. Wall Street is writing this Trump script. Raytheon and Lowkey are riding this Trump ship. Shut him down. Donald Trump, Donald Trump,
مسلم يا فاسد القدس تاج راسك شعب. It's a capistocracy that acts illogically. Gangsters and bankers kidnap your policies. Grant hypocrisy, expand the poverty. This man's philosophy is rampant robbery. Left Puerto Rico abandoned on its knees. Massive horror scenes, no plans for college teens. Onslaught wants more hangers on the street to ban democracy and crash economies. Fake news in the flesh, great views in the press. Ruminate who to hate when you accumulate debt. Food chain stretch from your goons that invest. Desecrate the state, an unusual death. Wanna idolize sly guys, who would you guess? Surprise, hope you privatise funeral next. Lucid effect who you choose to elect. When expansion is limitless, what future is left. The system was fixed for him, sicker than Nixon with Clinton. Winston and Kissinger mixed with the missiles of blistering pistols and kids, and he spits on the immigrants. Isn't it interesting? And his forked tongue, let them all come. President's never been a president's more dumb. Slave to the bankers, slave to the gun lobby. Permanent war, always demonized somebody. Families broke up, sanity closed. Shot a canopy, this man receives a salary to show up. Private jet nervous, disturbing with turbulence. Merging with mercenaries, working to murder us. Hurting the earth and our urges to nurture it. Ruled by the worst of the worst of the worst of them. Hurting the earth and our urges to nurture it. Ruled by the worst of the worst of the worst of them.
Today's Republican Party is the most dangerous organization in human history.
What became of the children of diaspora? Those that innovated in their ways and their vernacular. Those that saw the traces in the faces of the massacred. I wonder what became of them. Tell me what became of them. I wonder what became of them. Tell me what became of them. I wonder what became of them. Tell me what became of them. Lost in this city of fog, rarely seen by the sun. Just cause you're both beneath it doesn't mean that you're none. Never captains of the ship, they mistook us for some passengers. Now we're stuck here singing soul music from diaspora. Your host can't relate to your sense of dislocation. Type of pain that could not be contained in a dissertation. The reason that the terrified are setting fires. The reason they couldn't jeopardize Zephaniah. Considered as a compliment if your beauty is fetishized. Your history is power, that's the reason some are petrified. Colonial mimic mascot crying behind a mask, or a man with amnesia trying to find his past. Anthony Walker never had a weapon, but they still got him. Stephen Lawrence never had a weapon, but they still got him. Mark Duggan never had a weapon, but they still shot him. They call him first world diaspora problems. Don't you wonder what became of the children of diaspora? Those that innovated in their ways and their vernacular. Those that saw their traces in the faces of the massacred. I wonder what became of them. Tell me what became of them. So Hadid was a child of diaspora, so fear not, fear not. Edward Said was a child of diaspora, so fear not, fear not.
We never bow to the queen, no. We never bow to the queen, no. We never bow to the queen, no, 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 no. We never bow to the queen, no. Never bow to the queen, no. We never bow to the queen, no.
The middle passage, either sink or you swim. Bleach the pigment of skin and pray it's privilege trickling in. Are we missing a link? Diaspora's the reason MJ did to his nose what they did to the Sphinx, and why Marley made the most classic of art. The reason Gabby Douglas didn't put her hand on her heart. The reason Malcolm Little changed his name to X. The reason the president's melanin remains a threat. Ahmed made a clock, they arrested him, mangled his name. But the root of the word is to thank and to praise. Racism manifests in many cancerous ways. We must rally for change in these most tragic of days. Cause Emmett Till never had a weapon, but they still got him. Tommy Rice never had a weapon, but they still shot him. Alton Sterling never had a weapon, but they still shot him. They call him first world diaspora problems. Don't you wonder what became of the children of diaspora? Those that innovated in their ways and their vernacular. Those that saw their traces in the faces of the massacred. I wonder what became of them. Tell me what became of them. Nina Simone was a child of diaspora, so fear not, fear not. Frantz Fanon was a child of diaspora, so fear not, fear not.
There's no allegiance to the flag, no. allegiance to the flag, no. There's no allegiance to the flag, no, 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 no. There's no allegiance to the flag, no. There's no allegiance to the flag, no. There's no allegiance to the flag, no, 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 no. We never bow to the queen, no. We never bow to the queen, no. We never bow to the queen, no, 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 no. We never bow to the queen, no. Never bow to the queen, no. We never bow to the queen, no, 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 no. We never bow to the queen, 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 Never bow to the queen, no. 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 No, no. Never, never, never.
From our studio in Midtown, this is Radio Kingston, WKNY, AM 1490, FM 1079, Kingston, New York.
That was a little shout out to our dear host of the Radio Cake Show, Morgan Taylor. That was your horse. We miss you. You're listening to The Long Way Round. My name's Malcolm Byrne, and tonight, the title of tonight's program is Soundtrack to the Struggle, which is an album by British Iraqi rapper, artist, activist, Lowkey. I don't know if anybody saw the epic interview that Roger Waters, by the way, if you haven't seen Roger Waters' live show currently on tour, I highly recommend it. It's one of the most thought-provoking and entertaining and visually stunning shows I've seen in a very, very long time. And I applaud Roger for his commitment to human rights. And one of the things that Roger talked about in the interview was CNN with this guy, Michael Schmerkonish or whatever. CNN, by the way, completely bastardized that interview. They hacked it all up in an effort to make Roger look as less intelligent or less knowledgeable. Clearly, Michael Schmerkonish was out of his league when he was talking to Roger, and one of my favorite points of when Roger was talking in the interview was he literally told the CNN interviewer to go read some books and learn more about the subject, because clearly he didn't have a clue what he was talking about. He was simply regurgitating liberal talking points, force-fed and manipulated to the mass public as something called information. But if you're really looking for information, and as Roger said, there's plenty of places to look, you definitely aren't going to find the kind of information that's going to tell you anything or make you more intelligent on mainstream media. That's for absolute certain, unless you happen to tune into Tucker Carlson tonight, the other night when Tulsi Gabbard was on. That was a stroke of genius. But I'm going to rattle off a few sources of information for people who are really interested but perhaps are a little confused as to where to look, because the internet can be a daunting place, and there's a lot of crap on there as well, a lot of conspiracy theorists. But if you can sort your way through the information, you will find some really, really, really talented journalists out there doing the good work. Top of the list is a young Palestinian by the name of Ahmed Shamea, and you can find him literally just on Patreon at Ahmed Shamea. That's spelled Shameya, and his Twitter account is Ahmed AhmedWsh95. That's AHMEDWSH95. That's on Twitter, and he posts daily photographs. He's an independent journalist and needs your support, so please support him on Patreon. Other good sources are The Grey Zone. Max Blumenthal, of course, is one of my favorite journalists. Matt Taibbi, who used to write for the Rolling Stone, now does his own Substack. Very, very clear-headed and skeptical individual. It's been called a right-wing apologist, but that's just crap. That's just Democrats being nasty, which is what they're really good at. The New Atlas, Brian Bertolek is excellent. The Duran, Alex Christoforou, and Alexander Mercouris, who were actually my guests on the show a few months back. Shout out to the Duran. Scott Ritter, who was a guest about 3 weeks ago. Caitlin Johnston, Australian journalist, fantastic daily blogger. Useful Idiots, Katie Halper and Aaron Mattei. John Pilger, of course, a legendary journalist. If you haven't seen the film The Coming War with China, I highly recommend it. Noam Chomsky, of course, the great-granddaddy of them all. And I'm going to give a special shout-out to the person who's probably saved more lives than most people can imagine, Ralph Nader, the man who made us aware of the idea of wearing seatbelts, but has gone on to be a fierce critic of the establishment and has paid the price dearly, as Bernie Sanders once said when he was asked by Christopher Hedges why he didn't go independent. He said, "I don't want to end up like Ralph Nader." Well, Bernie, I got news for you. The person who's going to be remembered in history is going to be Ralph Nader. And last but not least, and this one goes out to Liz Hill, Andrei Vilcek, whose book I'm currently reading, called, the book is entitled Exposing the Lies of Empire. Andrei Vilcek was one of the last of an old dying breed of journalist who was fearless and paid the price for it. Andrei is no longer with us, and he died under relatively, well, what I would call suspicious circumstances in Turkey about a year ago. And finally, I'm going to quote Roger Waters, as he says in his live shows, "All presidents are war criminals. There are no exceptions." Anyway, back with the show. And if you think the current president is any less of a war criminal, sorry, you need to look a little harder. This is called Skit Lowkey here on The Long Way Round.
If we ask scientists to draw up a list of the top 10 greatest scientists, clearly Newton, Aristotle, Einstein will be top of that list, I guess. Added to that will be people like Pythagoras, Galileo, Darwin, and a few other familiar names. But I reckon for most people in the West, that top 10 will be entirely Europeans, either from ancient Greece or from the time of the European Renaissance and more recently. This evening, what I want to talk about is a period in history that's to a certain extent been somewhat forgotten, because I want to put the case for at least 3 other scientists who I think are worthy of being in that top 10 list of greatest ever scientists.
Estimated the circumference of the globe at a time when Europe thought the earth was flat and couldn't tell the time of day. The astrolabe paved the way for the clock. Now I'm about to turn it back. Was the medicine of Ibn Sina perceived as backwards when Oxford scholars deemed bathe in a heathen practice? History from Aristotle to Al-Kindi as we gather innovations of Ibn Haytham to Da Vinci and the camera. Asked Roger Bacon, Galileo, when Adela the father Ibn Shah before Copernicus, century and a half. House of wisdom books waiting gold answers to conundrums. Cheng Ho sailed the sea before Da Gama and Columbus. You are not who they say you are. You're blessed with a choice. Here since the 700s, look at King Offer's coins. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. There's a crater named after Al-Ma'mun on the moon, so fly.
All alone,
civilizations build on each other, not each to their own. My question, if people are equal like the teeth of a comb, we're Jahif, Mansa Musa, Malik Najashi, Abid. I didn't think so, but it seems Sha'bi Nasi what I need. Check yourself, check Raphael's depiction of Ibn Rushd. Think twice, study history, give it a different look. Curriculum's literally littered with pitfalls of ridicule. Fatim al-Fahri founded one of the oldest still existing schools. It's deeper than some rhymes I'm providing for the listener. No surprises for a spitter. The word cipher came from Sifr. Is the next Yunus Mahmoud among 4 million orphan babies? What if Mardini wasn't able to swim to safety? It could be Steve Jobs is starving under Hisar. It would be Zah Hadid just died in the infrajar. Through your veins flow Gilgamesh and Abu Nawas. Your future's bigger than the pain of your present and your past. Just shine. As the wretched of the earth, we strive to be free for non-struggle, for independence. He wasn't alive to see the countrification, alienation, souls left so scarred. Idarat al-Tawahish, decapitations on postcards. The occupier left behind all forms of stigma. Insidious settlement of the mind is more malignant from the ashes of war. No phoenix, that human is lost. They learned Idarat al-Tawahish from Masu and Lacoste. We learned resistance from Mahiba Khurshid and Layla Khalid. Learned about Jamal from Bu'azza, Bubasha and Buharid. Abdul Qadir was reburied in Al-Jazair Rasta. Proof return will come for diaspora of the Nakba, not the first or the last to break free from the guillotine. Yesterday Al-Jazair, tomorrow Palestine, not the first or the last to break free from the guillotine. Yesterday Al-Jazair, tomorrow Palestine.
Talking in terms of power, where the power is, who's shaping the condition of our lives, who determines the quality of the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, the kind of jobs we can have, the images we have to deal with and such.
If I can sing this song without you, maybe all is well. If we can sing this song without you, we don't need your world.
This is my letter to the 1%.
If I can sing this song without you, maybe all is well. If we can sing this song without you, we don't need your world.
Power to those who read bell hooks, power to those who sell books, power to those who know how the inside of a cell looks. All those feeling helpless, forgotten or discarded. Power to the strange fruit you thought was rotten in the garden. Power to those sitting alone, seeking solace in the calmness. Power to those feeling stained, know your tomorrow isn't tarnished. Power to those who sweep the streets with more knowledge than PhDs. Power to those who keep their keys, return his promise, please believe. Power to those that suffer in silence, those it hurts to hear. Power to those that hold their ground, power to those that persevere. Power to those that love humanity more than they love style. Power to immigrants, probably raising Donald Trump's child. Power to the blind who can't imagine what sight is, those staring at the moon and all those working night shifts. Power to the readers, the writers, the illiterate. Power to those that struggle to decolonize their syllabus. Power to the shy ones who struggle to make friends on the half of humanity worth less than 8 men. Power to those that risk their life to dig the coltan from the ground for the mic I'm spitting on and the phone you're holding now. Power to those that built the stadium they're playing in. Power to those that mowed the grass and stitched the ball that they're playing with. Power to every rapper that doesn't rap about killing. Power to the builders who build buildings that outlive them.
If I can sing this song without you, maybe all is well. If we can sing this song without you, we don't need your
to the slaves of ancient Greece that never had the right to vote. Democracy dead like Gary Webb when they import it like it's coke. Power to those that write to prison. Power to those writing home. Power to those writing poems. Power to those that died alone. Power to Curtis Mayfield. Power to Ronald Isley. Power to the fishermen that were forced into piracy. Power to every person that is working in a library. Power to every nurse that we turn to in our times of need. Power to the unions and the miners that you're punished. Power to those that drive the buses and those that collect the rubbish. Power to the youth desiring the truth. Power to every rapper that is dying for a fire in the booth. For those that lost limbs to King Leopold's quota and those risking their lives for the P&O to Dover. Power to union leaders murdered by... Power to victims of this globalized Cosa Nostra. Power to those dying on the shores and the borders. Power to human beings that were rendered fauna and flora. Power to those that cleaned up after the stage show and carnival goers still haunted by Kelso Crane's ghost. Power to Kevin Carter, his picture taunts and sever after so many questions never answered. Remember the last words of Abdel Muhsin al-Sa'doun. الأمة تنتظر الخدمة الإنجليز لا يوافقون. Power to El Jawahiri and his rebellions. They killed his brother Ja'far and he cursed the rotten Tensians. Enlightened despots pursuing tactics Machiavellian. Chinese steel preceded Europe a millennium. Think about it. Printed press half a millennium. Never get close. Power to Ken Loach and every volunteer in Lesbos. Cuban doctor sent to Sri Lanka for the tsunami. Power to those that cleaned up after the bullying and parties.
If I can sing this song without you, maybe all is well. If we can sing this song without you, we don't need your world.
Kids knowing Apple products before they know what an apple is. Forgotten like passengers on the USS Indianapolis. Dying days before they could see what little boys damage did on the precipice of fascism. Our passiveness is cancerous. Power to those strong enough to dream. Power to those that chose not to be a cog in the machine. Power to those that love first and hate never. Power to those that sleep on the streets through grey weather. Power to Aziz Ali, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Power to Norman Baker, David Kelly's owner artery. Power to the genocided population of Tasmania. The internet descends to Trump-tastic fantasia. Let them try quote this. You'll never find a better diagnosis than collective psychosis. It's getting quite hopeless, but hope is all we have. Trying to cultivate the positive, not focus on the bad. But the globe's under attack. The obnoxious rage of a fake intellectual. Amazing grace in the age of the spectacle. Not the first time they found a race is selectable to raise to the pedestal and desecrate the place that translated the decimal. I don't want to tempt fate. Power to corpse washers like Salvador Allende. Power to language learners, Bernie Sanders fans to flag burners. One man's inertia is another man's purpose. In the utopia of song, we are victorious, but the bittersweet reality's not this glorious. Power to Coltrane watching Malcolm X. Power to Paul Robeson under house arrest. Power to Galileo under house arrest. Power to Ibn Haytham under house arrest. Forgive me if I sound obsessed. This is my letter to the 1%. The redistribution of power. The redistribution of power. We want the redistribution of power. We want the redistribution of power. We want the redistribution of power. The redistribution of power until your power is ours. Until your power is ours.
Heads up, Kingston. I'm Kingston Mayor Steve Noble. Broadway cycle tracks have green two-stage turn boxes. These let bike riders make turns. Even drivers need to know how bike riders use these. From the stop line, riders wait until the cyclist traffic signal is green. Riders enter the green turn box and face the direction you want to turn. When the signal across the street turns green, look both ways, then make your turn. Keep alert for turning motorists crossing the cycle track. If the cyclist's traffic signal is green, the motorist's is too. The life you save could be your own. Be a road hero. For more information, visit EngageKingston.com.
Hi, I'm Teresa Widman from I Want What She Has. Every Monday afternoon from 1 to 3, we're amplifying women's voices.
Women had power through talk.
And their stories.
My curiosity outweighs any fear.
Highlighting how women are living life on their own terms.
I don't want to follow the rules anymore. I want to do what I want to do that feels good.
And breaking free from patriarchal structures.
But misbehaving is really just stepping outside the confines of society.
Going deep into systems change.
Sure, astrology can be revolutionary if it's obstructive to capitalism because you don't go to work because it's a full moon or whatever, you know?
And how we take care of ourselves and each other. That's I Want What She Has, your weekly antidote to the patriarchy. Monday afternoons from 1 to 3 here on Radio Kingston, AM 1490, FM 1079, or anytime on radiokingston.org.
And the YMCA of Kingston and Ulster County is hosting the second YMCA Day of Play, Saturday, August 20th. Inspired by the Nickelodeon Worldwide Day of Play, the YMCA Day of Play is a classic field day that encourages children to turn off the screens, go outside, make friends, play fun games, all for free. Kids will have the choice to play games like tug of war, potato sack races, cornhole toss, strategy games, participate in a water balloon battle. Well, that sounds very fun. Or play laser tag with My Kingston Kids. They'll also have the option to participate in community drumming lessons with Sparrow. There will be free water and ice stations to keep kids and parents cool and hydrated throughout the event. The second YMCA Day of Play, Saturday, August 20th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the YMCA 507 Broadway in Kingston. This event is free, but registration is encouraged. To register, sign up, to volunteer, or for more information, ymcaulster.org. That's ymcaulster.org. I'm going to read another excerpt from Stories of the Occupation. This one is from a woman named Afaf Abu Joa. She's a mother, homemaker, and activist. And in mid-July, Palestinian that is, in mid-July 2014, during the escalated hostilities with Israel, Afaf was forced, along with her husband and their 9 children, to evacuate their home in Ash-Sujahia, Gaza City, which was severely damaged. They took refuge at an UNRWA shelter. The terrifying ordeal was made worse when the family realized that their son Imad was missing. I could not eat or sleep. I realized we had left our son behind in the demolished house, said Afaf, who was then 42 years old. My husband and I took advantage of the first humanitarian truce and approached the home to look for him. We found him alive under the rubble, scared but unharmed. After the ceasefire, the family had no home to return to, so they moved to UNRWA Collective Center. Life here is difficult despite the support and aid we receive, she told us then. We really hope to move out and rebuild our home. It's difficult to locate an apartment to rent for 11 people. Restrictions on the import of goods, including basic construction materials imposed by Israel as part of its blockade, have complicated, delayed, and in some cases prevented reconstruction and repair of destroyed or severely damaged homes. In other cases where goods are available, families lack the financial resources to purchase them due to the poor economic situation in Gaza, caused largely by the years-long blockade. And if you don't know what BDS is, look it up. Boycott, divest, and sanction until this madness ends. Long live Palestine.
As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Do not forget to feed the pigeons. As you wage your wars, think of others. Do not forget those who fight for peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others, those who are nursed by clouds.
As you return home, to your home, think of others. Do not forget the people of the camps.
As you sleep and count the stars, think of others, those who have nowhere to sleep.
As you liberate yourself with metaphors, think of others, those who have lost the right to speak.
As you think of others far away, think of yourself and say, if only I were a candle in the night.
This is for Palestine and Quds, the capital Jerusalem. Unarmed people marching to the wall and they're shooting them. Suppression is a question, resistance is the answer. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza. Palestine and Quds, the capital Jerusalem. Unarmed people marching to the wall and they're shooting them. Suppression is a question, resistance is the answer. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza.
All you see is war every time you turn your head at night. Bloodshed on the floor. Mother cries, who cries for her this time? There's truth between these walls. See the lies between the lines they hide. Where the bullets coming from the tyrants dressed in our disguise.
I'm a rider till the end, even if I gotta push back for all my friends. Cause you know that I'm a fighter, let me see a lighter. And we not gonna stop the Palestine is free. But still you know that I'm a rider till the end, even if I gotta push back for all my friends. Cause you know that I'm a fighter, let me see a lighter. And we not gonna stop the Palestine is free.
Taught to not love, taught to be blind, taught to not care. Tell me what's real. Borderlines, military despair. How to exist if there's no rights to be human in fear? And if you take away your home, where's the heart supposed to live? Taught to not love, taught to be blind, taught to not care. Tell me what's real. Borderlines, military despair. How to exist if there's no rights to be human in fear? And if you take away your home, where's the heart supposed to live?
Palestine, free 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 Palestine.
Ibrahim Abu Thureya could resist without a wheelchair. 10-year challenge, tell Reggae we are still here. And tell that killer Netanyahu he should feel fear. The old live through us and guarantee the children will care. Criminal, not invincible, and you know it. Samadoun still sitting in their stoic. May not feel us with you when you listen to our poems. You inspire humanity, your resistance is heroic regardless of talk. Here's time we answer the call. Through your strength of spirit you provide example for all. How to live, how to love when attacked from the clouds above. Loud and clear the songs you sung can't be drowned by the sound of guns. Or just watch your tragic times through a satellite dish. The least that we can give you is an anthem like this. They panic tried to analyze and sanitize this, but we love you more than ever still. Palestine lives.
No change, no. Run away, away. All the hate to face. Time to change this state. No change, no. Run away, away. All the hate to face. Time to change this state. No change, no.
Continuing oppression of the Palestinians, encircling of the people of Gaza, the killing of civilians, the burning of homes, the daily oppression, the theft of land, the apartheid system in the West Bank where there are two road systems, and I've been, and I'm sure you have, and you see the Israeli road, you see like a spanking new highway with just the settler cars going backwards and forwards, then you see the old Palestinian roads, and it's people living under two sets of laws. It's an apartheid system. So all this is being uncovered, and the boycotts and divestment and sanctions campaign, which I support, and I'm sure many other people do, as a peaceful protest against the Israeli oppression. Support groups have got to keep proclaiming the rights of the Palestinians are the right to return, the right to their homeland, really, and the theft of land is Israel is breaking international law. It is breaking the Geneva Convention.
July 4th, 2005, I joined the United States military and swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I went through basic training. I went through technical school. And at the end of my technical school, I was brought into the drone program, even though they didn't tell me what it was. They said, you're going to go to Nevada, and you'll find out when you get there. And so I showed up, and they put us in a theater no bigger than this. And they showed a montage video of drone strikes. Ba, 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 boom, 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 boom. Played the heavy metal music. And at the end of the video, a sergeant came down the center, and he stood in front of us, and he said, your job is to kill people and break things. And I thought to myself, this isn't why I joined. I joined for very patriotic reasons, to get my education. It's not free in America. And to impress a pretty girl. So I went to my commander and I was like, sir, I'm not sure that I could do this job. I'm not sure that I could ever pull the trigger on somebody. And he was like, you swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You will obey the lawful orders of those appointed over you. You will do your job. And I was trapped. My father, my grandfather, actually, he was really my father figure. I didn't want to disappoint him. I wanted to be worth something. This is what all veterans want. They want to be worth something. They fight for a reason. They fight because they care. They don't want to look weak. They want to look strong. They want to fight for a noble cause, an honorable cause. And so I did it. I did it for 5 years and 5 days. I killed 13 people. And this is how you make life cheap. You show someone that you can end a life at the push of a button. When I was younger, war had no meaning to me. It was something of distant lands, and it was something of history. And here it was very real. I was a gamer. I was an athlete.
Testing, shattered hopes and dreams adorn the floor. The face behind the screen has seen it all before. And the worst thing about it is there's more in store. Just another sacrifice to the lords of war. The royal family sell guns. The royal family sell bombs. That kill the world's poorest people. The government sell guns. The government sell bombs. That kill the world's poorest people. Sacrosanct march of industry. The sacrosanct march of industry does such strange things to people. The spectatorship of suffering. The spectatorship of suffering does all such strange things to people.
Alive, cute as could be. You could see the gleam of mischief in her eye. Carrying a kite to try and find a place where it could fly. Hovering not far, she saw what was a spaceship in her mind. Too young to really understand exactly what the buzz meant. Bread and water every day, other than that she's unfed. Pressure applied diplomatically to stop aid. Reality enforced by the air and naval blockade. Back to her. Through her blood flows Qahtan, ancient civilization, but its status has lost charm. She found a place to fly a kite in the soft calm. Some will say that her life was in God's palm. She heard her mother call, saw her brother fall, didn't realize quick enough, stumbled from the sudden force, flicker and a flash to the horror scene of death. And this is what happens when technology meets flesh.
How do we sleep? Oh Lord of war.
Testing, shattered hopes and dreams adorn the floor. The face behind the screen has seen it all before. And the worst thing about it is there's more in store. Just another sacrifice to the lords of war.
A caravan in Nevada, he says twiddling a control pad, taking down coordinates, scribbling in his notepad. When he sweats, the headphones itch and irritate his eczema. Watching scenes on the screen as they enter through his retina. Sick of his life, his wife and his job cause it kills. Sick of his father, sick of debt from the hospital bills. Childhood of computer games that learn burned him in murder. He wonders if he's better off serving up burgers. A small part of him loved watching death from a distance, but that feeling numbed the way through monotonous repetition, merely going through the motions like the robot that he operates. Depersonalized murder, victimless violence for the modern ages. Cold stare and tap of a button takes her only life, instantly regrets but watches on as she slowly dies, grotesquely intertwined via the screen that he stares through. A kite floats away, but we will never know where to.
What fools we are to live in a generation for which war is a computer game for our children and just an interesting little channel for news items.
Oh Lord of war, how do you sleep? Oh Lord of war, how do you sleep at night? Oh Lord.
Testing shattered hopes and dreams adorn the floor. The face behind the screen has seen it all before. And the worst thing about it is there's more in store. Just another sacrifice to the lords of war.
The Lord lives in the third dimension, far from the theatre. Every now and again, whimpers of the carnage get nearer. Sometimes in his dreams, he sees the harm in disfigured like Dorian Gray. Can't see his moral scars in the mirror. Cognitive dissonance suppresses his pangs of conscience, rationalize it away. Everybody has their monsters, but he is not everyone. He is a parasite of life and carries within him a selfish song never sung. Believes he loves his children. Is he capable of love? Lord of the machines that reign Satan from above. Will they justify what daddy did or hate him as they must? Realize their bread and butter, their faces in the dust. As the sights locked on her, he loosened his suit and tie. As he sighs, walls of fire were shooting off to a riot as she died. He ordered fruit juice with some ice. A kite floats away, he admires the blueness of the sky. Oh Lord of war, 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 Lord of war.
The American civil rights activist and philosopher Cornel West says justice is what love looks like in public. And so what I wrote is that neoliberalism is actually what lovelessness looks like in public. And that now, after 4 decades of these policies, but the reason why I say the book came out on June 12th is that just 1 week later was the Grenfell Tower fire. And, you know, I feel like this catastrophe, right, this crime really, in so many ways, is the ultimate symbol of that lovelessness as policy, of that neglect, of that systematic neglect and systematic discrimination, but also of that hollowness that you're asking about, right, because of this extraordinary cruelty of this investment in image, like the investment in the aesthetic, in such sharp contrast to the divestment of the inside, of the interior, right?
How can I do a fire in the booth when I'm trying just to maintain? And since June, don't hear the word fire in the same way. Heard screams, splutters, and them gasping for air. That's not bars in a booth, it's so hard to compare. If I use fire as a metaphor, does that disrespect the people that are never more? How does that bomb sound to those that bled in war? That we never saw. Remember when they settled scores with metal swords like Skeletor? Chinese made gunpowder, Nobel invented dynamite. They say the guilt in his mind compelled him to design the prize. We know what Einstein's mind was like. How many geniuses we never knew that were deprived of life. I can't philosophize on horrifying flames. We don't have to apologize or qualify our pain to Grenfellize our loved ones of the colonizer's name. Should we let the corporate media lobotomize our brains? You are beautiful. No matter how this life disfigures you, you're beautiful. Even if that image you emulate isn't you. I don't know if history is linear or cyclical, but no, I'm ridiculed for making invisibles visible. That's why Plato said banish poets from the Republic, cause they know that we can shake the social system and disrupt it. The land of liberty, they tell us leave it or lump it. When Trump comes to the country, we hope he chokes on his crumpet before we sink in the ocean. Consider this as an omen. Nature's blessings are ours just cause we think that we own them. Never think that you're broken or think that you know one. Remember, a rope is strong because of strings interwoven.
When love dies, when love dies, when love dies, so neoliberal. When love dies, when love dies, when love dies, so neoliberal. Would they love you more if you mock the people that that you're from. Self-orientalize and believe that you belong. Overcompensate and propagate the image of the imbecile. Not uninvolved even though you're further from the killing field. Solace in the fact there's always cracks in the monolith. Practically lobbing bricks like Asterix and Obelix. Distracted with gossip is twisted news and interludes. Adverse, no hidden clues to listen to is pitiful. Rosa Luxemburg gave us the simple truth. You won't feel your chains till the day you begin to move. He photographed the corpse and they flung him in the cage. Rosa signed off on the cladding and still receiving their wage. Helicopters hover close, pictures of the front page. Tried to speak, all I really felt deep was numb rage. How could they see this pain at such a young age? Leaning out the window screaming for help, but none came. If it bleeds, it leads. The trauma tourists, they gravitate. Shock doctrine in effect, disaster capitalists salivate. Privatization, deregulation and austerity. 0-hour contracts, exploitation and precarity. Adults didn't make it, children to be. Save pennies on the block, drop 20 million on the opera. We see through your cold plans, your program is done. We don't want a prime minister that holds hands with Trump. We don't want DJs doing shows on military compounds. Can't trivialize fire or hear any more bomb sounds. I cannot smile when I know the remains are still not found. And echoing in my mind is exactly how the sobs sound. When love dies, when love dies, when love dies, so neoliberal. When love dies, when love dies, when love dies, so neoliberal. They say we're criminals for syllables and stanzas when they subsidize the killers, tools, the pillagers and bankers. Who are the engines of history? People like me and you who got massacred for the right to vote at Peterloo. It was Imagineers, the poets and the artists, the miners, Toll Puddle martyrs, William Cuffey and the chartists. Rebel and resist, even through something small. Create windows with words and mirrors where once were walls. Manure contributes to the beauty of a rose. Why can't we accept our pain as something that helps us grow? They wonder why songs that make you cry are more moving, cause crying's the only thing that we were born doing. They tell us tea is tradition to the English. When I look around this island, not a tea plantation in it. Earl Grey gave 20 million to the slave traders. Multipolar world, now the Indians are space raiders. Freedom to be even or merely alienate labor. Freedom for fossil fuels to desecrate and invade nature. Albert was an immigrant, Philip was an immigrant. Were the Celts, Normans and the Anglo-Saxons English then? The words sugar, cotton and rice come from Arabic. Now we import democracy to civilize the Saracens. Analyzing planets when this backwater was wilderness. Seems we're still obsessed with immortality like Gilgamesh. Pessimism of intellect, optimism of will. Wear the skin of their victims is syndrome Buffalo Bill. In times of permanent war, there's always someone to kill. But when life and death are virtual, almost nothing is real. When love dies, when love dies, when love dies, so neoliberal. When love dies, when love dies, when love dies, so neoliberal. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, real people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, real people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, real people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, real people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people. Neoliberalism kills people, real people. Neoliberalism kills people, it kills people.
Hi, this is Laura from the Kingston Farmers Market. You can find us every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. uptown in the county courthouse parking lot with entrances on John and Wall Streets. We have over 60 local farms and vendors with fruit, veggies, cheeses, meats, herbal wellness, and ready-to-eat food in a safe, fun outdoor space. We're happy to welcome back live music each week from 11 to 1 and our Pop Bucks program for kids. The market accepts Snap and offers Double Up and Fresh Connect. stop by the market booth to find out about our new Solidarity Dollars. That's the Kingston Farmers Market in the County Courthouse parking lot, uptown, Saturdays 9 to 2, rain or shine. Find out more about our events and programs on Facebook and Instagram or at kingstonfarmersmarket.org.
Hi, I am Blake File. Join me Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. for The File. Socially, politically, economically, environmentally, and spiritually, our progress depends on intergenerational dialogues.
Because so much about modern life, it's pinballing our physiology all over the place.
I could almost feed that text in and have the relationship I want with my mother.
I just tried to fill out this magical world purely for my own delight.
And really great music. That's The File, Tuesday nights at 10 here on Radio Kingston, AM 1490, FM 107.9, and anytime at radiokingston.org.
Welcome to the last 14 and a half minutes of the show. You've been listening to Soundtrack to the Struggle by the British Iraqi rapper, artist, humanitarian activist Lowkey. You may not detect much of it in my voice, but I'm actually very angry right now. I'm very angry at all of the government misinformation that's going around regarding a lot of things, but also the ongoing support of the apartheid state of Israel, which we subsidize so that happy, fun-loving Israelis can lay around on the beach, sunning themselves and living the good life, while within a few miles away, people live in the most appalling conditions, and we pay for it. Isn't that great? Your tax dollars hard at work. And meanwhile, we're also subsidizing a proxy war in Ukraine to the tune of bajillions of dollars, and stoking the fires of war with China. It just seems like America doesn't know where to stop. Another of my favorite journalists, Chris Hedges, his most recent Substack article is called "We Are Not the First Civilization to Collapse, but we will probably be the last." I urge you to read Chris Hedges on Substack. Subscribe to that great writer, one of the few voices in this country of sanity, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to finish off the rest of the show with a few tracks, select tracks, that I think complement tonight's show. Here's a track by another fantastic, politically minded, conscientious objector named Akala, with a track called Malcolm Said It. I think he's not talking about me. I think he's talking about Malcolm X. All right.
Malcolm said it, Martin said it, Marley said it, Harley said it, Garvey said it, Toussaint said it. I weren't there, but I'm sure Disseline said it. Malcolm said it, Martin said it, Marley said it, Harley said it, Garvey said it, Lumumba said it. I weren't there, but I'm sure Disseline said it. If you ain't found something to die for, if you ain't found something to die for, you never live. If you ain't found something to die for, you never live. We might feed and breathe, but we never did. Except those with peace and equality that don't see what we call authority. Live, speak truth, we kill them for. We love them dead when they speak no more, but they will endure. Ideas are bulletproof. Tooth of truth, it's impossible to pull it loose. We smother any mouth there, utter it. Folly fathers fear, we mother it. We're loving it, corrupt government, so we look the other way when in our name is struggling. We idolize them and we despise them, cause we're reminded that we're the ones who are silent. So give a moment for the times we were blinded. Scream at the top of your lungs like a siren. If you ain't found something to die for, if you ain't found something to die for, you never live. If you ain't found something to die for, if you ain't found something to die for, you never live. Maybe the wise man has nothing to prove, but the one who has nothing to lose. More things we don't need will make more fees. More laws we don't need, it's all Siamese. Who leads it don't matter, they can't make change. New driver, but we got no brakes. Whatever the place, whatever the face, the master never ever frees the slave. They always knew it, so they pursue it. But we were too divided to ever be guided through it. Gotta stop them cause they're rotten from the days of picking cotton. They sell us a love song and we're so besotted. So confused we believe their promise. But there are some that lead more honest. They are not forgotten, though they shot them. So scream to the top of your lungs, right from the bottom. Malcolm said it, Martin said it, Marley said it, Harley said it, Garvey said it, Two Saints said it. I weren't there, but I'm sure Dessalines said it. Malcolm said it, Martin said it, Marley said it, Harley said it, Garvey said it, Lumumba said it. I weren't there, but I'm sure Dessalines said it. If you ain't found something to die for, 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 you never live. People don't rebel, the rebels are the tyrants. You are not God, so we are not defiant. No human nature, just our behavior, the oppressed. Wanting our oppressor is the savior. Round the globe killing, claiming to be religion. All the books said it's sinning, and that is just the beginning. Now spread democracy by dropping a bomb on them terrorists with no shoes and socks. I reckon history teaches us the lesson. The bigger terrorist is the one with the bigger weapons. They talk, but we didn't listen. They spoke and then went missing. We can't see all the things that imprison us, cause we don't appreciate the freedoms they have given us. I wouldn't bet it, will we ever get it? Run tell your friends that Akala said it. If you ain't found something to die for, if you ain't found something to die for, you never live. If you ain't found something to die for, if you ain't found something to die for, you never live. Malcolm said it, Martin said it, Marley said it, Harley said it, Garvey said it, Two Saints said it. I weren't there, but I'm sure Dessalines said it. Malcolm said it, Martin said it, Marley said it, Harley said it, Garvey said it, Lumumba said it. I weren't there, but I'm sure Dessalines said it.
Rich man's war. Industrial streets. Class lines, money talks. Turning language to paper pieces. Rich man's war. Free man society. Raging violent insecurity. Nuclear man, nuclear woman, unclear how to act. Rich man's war. Pershings cruising Europe. America, Russia. Governmental nuclear views. Industrial allies cutting the world as though they cannot see blood flowing. Rich man's war. Central America bleeding, wounds same as Palestine and Harlem. 3 Mile Island in El Salvador, Pine Ridge in Belfast. Rich man's war. The poor, starving for food, starving for land, starving for peace, starving for real. Rich man's war. Attacking human, attacking being, attacking earth, attacking tomorrow. Rich man's war. Thinking of always war. Thinking of always war. With machines for ancestors. New unborn generations. Chemical umbilical cords are only wiring. In your electrical progress, human lives burnt offerings to the god greed. With lies for ancestors, there is no truth in some futures. Rulers of minds feeding next generation souls to the control machine. Sacrifice ritual for the profit technology. With isolation for ancestors, there's only the present, bought by the credit material uses. Forging chains binding you to destruction. Compliments of your deities, the industrial priest. trying hiding an eon mask. Have to face who we really are. At some point we have no choice. Distant star, distant light. In real world, we are human being. In shadow of real world, we are being human. Neon mask for neon flash. Distant thunder, distant cloud. Passions reign. Drenched in possession, what we take is hard to do. What we do is hard to take. Some ones are crazy, or maybe we take turns. Dreaming about some kind of life, we say it could have been different. But it wasn't, because we weren't. No matter what, it turns out the same. A lot of things we said weren't true. Industrial stories in an electric instant. Neon mask. Neon flash. Neon flash. Thing is, nihilistic desires. Civilized, gone insane. Didn't imagine it turning like this. Some things start good and go bad. Some things get bad and stay bad. Are we caught in between living a lie or not living at all? Eliminated choices, lost in dreams we let go. Memories we never got to have, something else to think about. Waking up in industrial society, surrounded by angry days. Going through motions of not being. Wanting the best but not expecting it. Surviving paid for in dreams. Feeling like a world alone. Serving God with the devil to pay. Feeling like something in no place. What goes on in hell anyway? Thing is, it has to do with heart. We have to understand what hearts are for before we can get back to heaven or paradise, or the power in our mind.
Thank you for joining us on tonight's program. As always, it is brought to you with love. Love is the only thing that will save us. And if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, we'll see you next week.